So unfortunately, I've got a third day of rubbing down. I'm pretty sure if you're a professional, you'd probably only use the Easifill twice, but I've had to go around just where there's little nicks and dinks as I've been rubbing down. That's probably because I haven't done a very good job of the first 2 layers, in fairness. So today will be the last rubbing down of the walls. There'll be some minor rubbing down and filling just of woodwork and things like that, but we need to get into painting now. So that's going to be the mission for the next probably week. So today I wanted to get the mist coat onto the bare plaster parts. So sort of 10% water and 90% the matte emulsion that we're doing. So I've just put that on, but I also knew when I do this it will probably highlight imperfections, maybe dinks. So I've got to make a decision now where I need to do some more filling and rubbing down, unfortunately. I think it's also highlighted my lack of skill set in plastering, to be perfectly honest, as I've got a few areas that I know where I've gone wrong now with patch plastering. I'll show you that. So what happened here is this was where the hatch was, and I allowed myself, and I bonded the area around it, about 3 inches around it, but then I allowed myself to skin beyond that, and therefore it wasn't prepared. And what's happened is that obviously where we've got the finished plaster on top of just the normal plaster without it being bonded, it's flaked, it's bound to. And obviously with the emulsion, the wet emulsion, that's just highlighted that. So I'm going to have to just take this back to wherever the hatch was, make sure and refill back down again and sand it back down. I shouldn't have gone beyond the plaster area, or I should have prepped it. And I got a small area on the fireplace, so that actually fireplace is not too bad. Again, there's a few little dinks, areas where it's not, so you might not be able to see it on here, but you can probably just see there's a line that all needs just filling and sanding back down. It's just show the imperfections where I've put the white on. Again, I don't know if you can see that, but I've also got some bubbles keep coming through the plaster. I actually don't know how to get rid of that. I'll refill again, but I've done it a couple of times. It's just as though the air pockets are there and they keep coming to the surface. Well, it's Saturday and it's sunny today, which is quite nice. Back in the decoration of hell at the moment. I'm still struggling with loose plaster and filling. I'm desperately trying to get onto a major painting stage, but I've still got areas that I'm having to just fill and patch. But it's got to get to a point today where I'm ready for complete painting top to bottom. So another day of filling, unfortunately. The plastering has come to bite me in the backside, to be honest. Got some major areas here where the plaster just came off, so I've had to chase it all back to where it's solid, and then I've started to refill. So on this wall, these 3 patches here, the bigger patches, I'm using there's a polyfiller skim that I've seen. So the problem is all of this is remedial action that I shouldn't really be doing, but I'm using this polyfill finish skim. Basically you brush it on, then they give you like a spatula, you smooth up, and then 2 to 3 hours later you smooth it again. It feels like it's dropping a bit because it's probably a bit too liquidy. So I shall smooth that off, but worst case I should just fill it. I seem to be going from one problem to another, so I'm not very happy with this polyfiller stuff, to be honest. It's started to sag and drop a bit, so you can start to see it's pulled away from the edges. And secondly, it said after 2 to 3 hours to, as it's gone hardened, is to just, smooth it, which I thought I could pull it up to those edges and that. But it's still so wet, and as I pulled, it's dragged, and I'm having to leave it alone, to be honest. So I'm just going to have to leave it, go home, go hard, and then rub it all down. And probably go back to using an Easifill. For some reason, it's just not worked very well. And this bit here hardened quite quickly because it was very, very, very thin. This was a bit thicker, so I get it takes a bit longer, but it's nowhere near. It's past 3 hours now, and as you can see, it's as wet as anything. The problem is when you put dark paint on, it shows any shadows. So any bumps in the plaster was obvious. Now, bearing in mind, we only actually had a hatch here this big, and all this problem is outside of that area. Where I've had the hatch is actually pretty good, to be honest. It's beyond that where I've tried to taper and feather it out and gone further and further away from the problem area. The reality of a average DIY. See all these YouTube and TikTok videos and how didn't I do this wonderful? No, not in this house. I've decided at the end of this DIY, I'm going to be probably an expert filler. You do all these measurements and watch YouTube videos and it just doesn't work. So don't follow what I do. This is the reality of that corner. I'm way out, just way out. I think the wall's bulging in all sorts of places. So that probably needed more work on, to be perfectly honest. So it's still a bit of a battle of the fireplace I need to win today. This is where I had the plaster problems. I am where I am with this. I've discovered this wall is really out. When I was putting the skirting board down earlier, the skirting board's all over the place because just I think how they built this wall has been patched up quite a bit, to be honest. But anyway, we are where we are. This is all about making it smooth and try and get rid of those bumps. So the polyfiller that I bought, I wasn't very happy with. It just took ages to dry. It didn't do a very good job. But I managed to get some filler on top of it overnight, so that's hardened. So I'm going to rub that down, see where I'm at, probably have to refill, rub. All the other walls are done, and then I can go back to putting the second coat on the walls then. So that'll be it, hopefully. So as you can see, we've got no filler patches on the wall. Finally got there. Took about 3 fills and 3 rub downs yesterday to get to the finish that I wanted, but we're happy with it now. We were painting between each fill because putting a darker colour on there, you can really see the undulations and shadows and dinks and that. So that's a good little tip I found to do that. So as you can see, I put the decorator's cork down here, so that's made that a lot neater. So just using a standard white decorator's cork, putting it on and just wetting my finger, getting a wet finger and just rubbing that down, trying to keep a very small bead on it, constant. So there's a bit of an art and a skill to that, but I'm gradually getting better at that.